The family of a 13-year-old boy killed in a hit-and-run crash on New Year's Day say his killer is getting off too easily. 35-year-old Bradley Law is receiving a sentence of 1 1/3 to 4 years in prison after pleading guilty to criminal possession of a firearm and attempted leaving the scene of a fatal accident. Brennan Loveless's grandfather, Tim Hall, calls the plea deal a gross miscarriage of justice. According to the Broome County Sheriff's Office, Brennan was hit by a pickup truck driven by Law shortly after 5:30 p.m. on January 1st while the boy was riding his bike on the shoulder of Route 7 near his home on Belden Manor Road in Sanitaria Springs. Law, seen here, fled the scene while Loveless, who was thrown 180 feet down the shoulder, laid on the ground suffering from serious injuries. According to police reports, Law never braked before or after striking Brennan and dragged the boy's bike 560 feet down the road. Hall says the Broome County District Attorney's Office is acting as though Brennan's life was worthless.
Brennan got a death sentence. My family and I were living out a life sentence, and this person's getting slapped on the hand. He's getting basically congratulated, and he's been in trouble a few times since this incident. He's a frequent flyer to the Broome County Jail. They know him.
The sheriff's office confirms that Law was sent to jail on June 20th on separate charges of physical harassment and criminal obstruction of breathing. Law was taken back to jail last Friday on a warrant after failing to show up for a court date. He had been out on bail since shortly after being arrested for Brennan's death. In what Hall considers an obvious show of guilt, Law allegedly staged a bogus accident with a deer the following day in an effort to cover up the damage to his truck. Law was originally charged by sheriff's deputies with criminally negligent homicide, but a grand jury did not indict him on that charge. Hall says a neighbor who heard the crash and saw that Law did not stop was never called to testify. Brennan's mother, Christina Loveless, says no amount of time in prison will bring her son back, but she would like justice for Brennan.
Brennan was a spunky little guy. He loved to ride his bike. He liked to go fishing, hunting, just to live his life. And now he's gone.
Law will serve his sentences for both crimes simultaneously. The 1 1/3 to 4 was the max for the weapons charge, but he could have received 2 1/3 to 7 for leaving the scene. Hall says he understands that Law was not likely to get 20 years in prison, but he'd like him to do at least 5. He says with this sentence, Law will likely spend less than a year behind bars. News Channel 34 reached out to Law's attorney, Ron Benjamin, for comment, but did not receive a reply.